Coming at you live from responsible distances apart. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast with a soundboard. It's just awkwardly in a it's in a weird spot, but we are powered by the Over Podcast Network. Yeah, well, when in Rome. I tried ever slightly. I forgot my Spanish. Who are you, Brook Me 3?
I'm not saying in mine in Spanish. I'm Brooke. You can find me at Brook Me 3 on Twitter and Instagram. On today's wonderful show, we got to talk we pretty much just got to talk one thing, really. There's going to be a lot mixed in, but I think everybody's here to talk about, what are we calling it? MLB Bio-Dome? Is that how we're referring to it?
Yeah, it's the Bio-Dome. It's here. It's now. We're all very scared, and apparently desperate for baseball because this thing is giving us false hope, which is pretty much a topic on today's show. We gotta hate on them Astros a little bit because, well, they make it so easy. And Gary's providing us rally safety tips, which I'm very excited about. And oh, so much more will be on today's fine programming for your virtual Taco Tuesday. Before we do get into the show, we do ask if you could please subscribe to our podcast. It would mean so many things to us in our in-here areas. Even rate and review it. It would mean a lot. It turns out, we have a lot of ratings on iTunes now. Well, not a lot, but I mean, they've picked up. So, thank you guys. We do appreciate that. But yeah, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can. Rate us on, those places. We'd appreciate it. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are youtube.com/Dodgers Nation TV. And the final thing I got to tell you about is our partners, our friends, our pals over there in the, I guess it's here right now for us on sportscaster.com. You could be the star of your own show with access to special events when they're when available. Some restrictions may apply right now, but you can look like a pro, sound like a pro, game like a pro, broadcast like a pro. Go to sportscaster.com, that is CASTR.com, after our stream.
After the stream. Guys, don't forget this is a live broadcast, so make sure you drop into the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're repping Dodgers Nation. Let us know where you're sad, because I think there's just a general sense of sadness in baseball and sports in general right now. So we'll jump into the chat in a little bit once those things get going, but we got a couple people that have checked in already. Sylvia over on Facebook, she says, I miss going out to the Dodger games. And yes, all of us feel that deep down in our soul. Very, very deep down.
So I do tip my beer to you, Brooke. Happy National Beer Day and virtual Taco Tuesday. It is National Beer Day, not international, but we are drinking Mexican beer. Cerveza. So I guess that works. Let's check a few more folks here on the stream. Roach is in the stream. He's celebrating virtual Taco Tuesday with us. So let's give a couple points out there. Oh man, we got a real celebrity in the house. Sierra, star of left field and occasionally pitcher for the Netflix and Chill softball team, and dear friend of ours. She knows these famous people. So what's going on, Sierra? Good to see your words here on the internet. Moshe's in the stream. We haven't seen that guy in a million years, I think.
Dude, he's collecting.
Busy.
He's gonna be collecting money soon. Got an extra free year, right?
For people who don't know,
that's got to pay up.
Yeah, that's the guy who called out Manny Machado at the Dodger game. And Manny's like, I'll bet you my contract we win a World Series before the Dodgers do. And was he looking wrong?
Yep, 10%.
We got Ryan Moore from Dixie, down in the heart of Dixie in Alabama. Miguel is watching from Phoenix, the future home of all of MLB, apparently. Clinton Braglin, 403. Hello, I've never been to Hello, but we do appreciate you hanging out. Jerry Riggs says Bio-Dome. Will Pauly Shore fall throughout the first pitch? What do you think about that, Brooke? Is that a good idea?
Is Pauly Shore still alive?
I think so.
Let's hope not.
I think so. Yeah.
I've never been a Pauly Shore fan. I don't understand what anybody ever saw in him.
Everyone ever.
I don't understand why he was allowed to be in things. I can't even comment.
Yeah, that's what all of his ex-girlfriends said too. Hey, and I will leave now. Thank you. Were you even old enough for like Bio-Dome?
What year did Bio-Dome come out? Encino Man, yeah.
That was we had the internet.
I've seen them both, but
1996.
I don't know if they were out. I was 3.
Trisha says that he is very much alive.
And we are very proud of you for that.
I probably did not see it in theaters probably.
Oh, you guys
Yes.
remember? You guys remember theaters?
You guys remember being happy?
Man,
being
AMC is
happy.
going bankrupt. They said no more
I know.
AMC.
But they couldn't survive on $400,000 worth of popcorn sales. It's like what, 3 people?
You see how
I
much
saw a
popcorn
thing-
they give you for $9.85 or something? Jeez.
I saw a thing. It was like you charged $50 for a bucket of popcorn. You guys couldn't save some money.
I know, right?
Janae's in the stream. She says, "Hey guys, hi Janae, what's going on? How you doing?
She
Glad you're
says
not
she's
working."
watching from work.
Oh, she is working. Look at that.
What's she working for?
Putting-
Car parts
Car
are
parts?
essential. Yep.
Car
Car
parts
parts
are-
are
That's
essential.
true. Yeah, that is
People
true.
need to go places.
Katie is ready to smack talk the Astros, and she wants Altuve to catch these hands. So that is a little bit later in the show. First up, let's dig into the Bio-Dome. Initially, I wanted to call this section or this segment of the show, "It's Gonna Be May," because baseball is discussing, allegedly, Jeff Passan out here wilding. I don't think that boy slept in like 3 months. But he's out here dropping hints and rumor bombs. We had back in the day on the show, we used to have Bob bombs. That was before Nightingale went like full rogue and just was making up anything he could. We got to come up with something with for our boy Jeff Passan. But rumor is that there could be basically baseball in a bubble in Arizona in as soon as May. I didn't really get much of your reaction on this, Brooke. What are your thoughts, Chief?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, what your opinion was. Like, what side do you fall on? Do you fall more on the this is plausible side or this is not plausible side? What side of the fence do you think you're on?
Well, if we're being logical
Pulling emotions out. What side do you
if we're
fall on?
being logical about this definitely feels on the not logical side of the fence. We're all here still stuck at home. May is less than a month away. You can't see that happening. You just really can't see that happening.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't get to read about it or hear it or anything like that, if you live under a rock but only watch our show for some reason, that would be strange. But basically the breakdown of it is that Major League Baseball wants to get games going as fast as possible. And to do so, the best thing to do would be to do kind of what Dana White's doing, where he's buying an island and putting everybody on it. But the island is Arizona because nobody ever goes to Arizona. So put everybody in those spring training facilities and at Chase Field where the Diamondbacks play. Those become the almost like dormitories. Like you're almost living there and doing baseball, and that's all you do all the time. And you don't really get to leave your bubble, and it's just basically trying to limit as much interaction with the outside world as possible so that baseball can get going, so that they don't keep losing out on television deals and sponsorships and things like that. They're gonna lose out on ticket sales. That's inevitable at this point. There's no going back on that. But at least there's some chance that they're gonna get baseball started. If anything, the only thing that this really did for me when I was reading it, I know a lot of people got excited or angry one way or the other. I think the only thing this did for me was like, okay, well, they're working on something like that. That gives me a little bit of hope that they can at least say that, like, hey, it's being worked on, even if it's not a realistic possibility at this point. It's being worked on.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest obstacles that I've read so far, I mean, it sounds like the logistics aren't even the biggest obstacle, which you would think it would be.
Yeah.
But it sounds like one of the biggest ones is like, hey, players have to be away from their families for that long. And I get that, but also, if you're getting paid as much as they could potentially be getting paid, I don't know about you, man. I'm going away from my family for 8 months. I'm okay. Like I don't know.
Yeah, Passan and Gary, we'll get your feedback or your thoughts on this in a minute too, being the resident family man here. But Passan talked about that, how he spoke with one of his baseball folks that he has in his Rolodex, because he's OG like that. He does carry around a Rolodex, people's cards and scraps of paper and napkins with names on it. But he talked to a player who was like, hell, well, he said, F no way in hell I'm doing that. And then the next day, the guy texts back and he's like, so I talked to my wife And what happened was, she's like, if we go and get paid, I'm all for it. It's
So my
4
wife
months.
said I have to go.
Gary, resident family man,
Mhm.
what's your take on this? What's the amount of money it's going to take to get you away from the family? And keep in mind, everybody's been quarantined with their family for a while, so this is probably the very wrong time to be asking
Yeah, it's hard to
family
ask.
about it.
I mean, for them, I think they get to see their families at probably they're away from their family. What the longest is like 2 weeks in a normal season, right?
Mhm.
And like this is 4 months, and it's tough. I mean, like I've been on business trips where I'm away to like Europe for like three weeks. That was tough. This one's 4 months, and like on the business trips, you're like, this is for the family. I'll sleep in a hotel. This sucks. Whatever. These guys 4 months, they're doing the same thing. It's going to be. They're playing baseball. They're doing it for the country. If you really think about it, that's my take on it. Is that this country needs something to cheer for, something new, something not the news, And I think if they can like step up for the country and like suck it up for like 4 months to play, that's not too bad. And like they're gonna have the best medical facilities. They're gonna have the best testing. Something's gonna happen, I think, because someone's gonna sneak in somebody,
Yeah.
and something's gonna happen, and that's gonna ruin the whole thing. But I feel like even with that risk, I don't know. I just feel like for the country, it's just the morale, just to give
Yeah.
everybody just some happiness. I think I would like for them to step up. I don't know if I'm being selfish or not, but right now, like doctors and nurses, grocery workers, they're all stepping up. They're making it.
Yeah.
They're stepping up for us to like be able to continue our life. And I just feel like baseball, you guys get super security, super medical staff. None of these, grocery workers and essential people are getting that. And,
Right.
And they're endangering their family every day by going home. These guys
Yeah.
are protecting their families and still making money for them. So it's a really
Plus
tough
with,
call right now.
Plus, with baseball players, the athletes, and all that, these are people that are, except for somebody like Bartolo Colon, these are all people that are in tip-top shape. They're supposed to be in hashtag best shape of their life and all that. They're the type of folks that could, conceivably recover from something if it should happen. But that's the whole idea of this biodome, of this bubble. It's everybody's going to be kind of in their own realm, in their own world, and not really have access to the outside world. And, Brooke, I'm sure you were old enough for this one, or if not, you've seen the clips plenty. Gary, you're talking about like what it means to the country, and like the just kind of sort of some semblance of restarting it. And you think of that Mike Piazza home run from the Mets, a week after 9/11 happened, and just how much that meant. You had W throwing out the first pitch, and
Strike.
the strike, dude. W like
Gunned it in, man.
that
Gunned it
boy could get it. That's an athlete right there. But it kind of signaled the restarting of the country in a way. And baseball is America's pastime, so you can kind of relate it that way. And people will probably feel, hey, you know what, we can get through this, and it is something. They baseball is an entertainment sport. It's entertainment for all of us, and putting it on TV, even with no fans. I mean, WrestleMania seemed to work this past weekend. I understand it. I just think there's going to be too many loud people about it happening for it to not happen, because it really, if you're looking at the greater scale of it, a couple, like 1 year off of baseball, worst case scenario. It's like, really, we're bitching about that. We're going to look back in 20 years when it's the end of the world. And it's like, oh, at least we got baseball back. But it's
just not the players that are making money. We're talking about the Dodgers marketing team, the Dodgers PR team, the MLB's PR team, the human resources, the people that work at BAMTech, people that work in, maybe in some of the merchandise, like Fanatics, even though they're doing a great job right now. There is an economy. There's a baseball economy. We're part of the baseball economy too. So yeah, I could be totally biased in what I'm saying right now, right? But the thing is, that money has a trickle down effect where people then have money in their hands. They're going to go out there and spend money on local restaurants that need more of our money to get some food onto our tables, to the grocery shop workers, to all those people. Like, money needs to come somewhere from a natural economic standpoint. It can't just be thrown to us through stimulus or anything like that. It needs to be done in an organic, economic way. And baseball, if baseball can do that, then that provides us a lot. It gives a little bit more money instead of just people being scared at home and not making money. Like, this is how this is the part where capitalism is that engine that just it gets it to work. But we're gonna have to start getting moving soon. We cannot be stuck in our houses for a whole year. And that means the same thing. We can't just say, okay, let's just throw baseball out for a whole year. Like, if they can't do anything to save, like, my number was like 75 games. Even with 75 games, like, don't get me started on if a World Series counts or not, because I don't know yet. But 75 games still is 75 games worth of revenue to share to people who need the money. That's my basic take on it.
Yeah. I think you guys kind of hit it right on the head, where baseball is more than anything, it feels like it's something that signifies that the pace of the country, and that's kind of just true for sports in general, I think now. There's that Field of Dreams speech where he makes where he's like, America's rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased, and it marks the sign of the time, basically. Baseball does. Yeah. And I think that's true. I think whenever baseball's moving, the country's moving. And whenever it's not, the country stops. And it's a morale thing for sure. But like you said, Gary, it's economically, it's a boost. A lot of people rely on it. There's a lot of jobs created from baseball. And as a result, it trickles down and does well for the economy. And so without it, it's difficult. And I think obviously true of any sport, realistically, but I think of the sports that are still on hold, baseball is probably the most realistic to have a chance to come back. I do think the NBA is at a higher risk, and that it seems less likely to me that the NBA would be back. I don't even the NHL is still up in the air. Like, I feel like the NHL will just do whatever the NBA does, I feel like. But in terms of baseball, there's a likelihood that it can come back. There's still a lot of time left in what would have been the season. Basketball and hockey is different because their seasons are supposed to be up pretty soon, this month. So it's a little different, but I don't know. Like, I don't feel like it's realistic still. Like we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic it is. I agree with you that I don't know how realistic, because of all the issues like Passan brought up, like Trout, his wife is going to get married. Not married. Mm-hmm. His wife is pregnant. Not get married. His wife is pregnant. Is going to be having a baby. Lucky guy? I know, right? But those are real questions. And if for those players, because this is a way for all the players to get paid, right? If there is an asthmatic player who is afraid of being in that kind of an environment, he chooses not to play. Does that mean he's going to be treated as a player on the disabled list, right? And then that gives his team an unfair, it's just an unfair advantage for other teams. And then does he get paid? So then he can get paid by being on the disabled list in a regular season, but would he get paid here? And that's where all the money comes in. To be honest, let's just call out the owners. The owners need to step up. They're billionaires. I would say 60% of the owners in the MLB, their baseball team isn't even their main moneymaker. They have other sources of income that can help alleviate some of the income that's being lost here. And it's tough. There's just so many things. It's not realistic that's going to happen. That's what I agree with you, Brooke, about that. I think the logistics of it, if they can pull it off and it works, holy good Lord, good freaking job, But NBA, NHL, I don't know, but I think baseball is the one thing that needs to come back. They just got to work really hard to get it there.
Yeah. Clint, I had a question for you, but first I want to jump into some comments, but I'm going to ask you a question after that, so be ready for questions. Are you ready for questions after?
Hold on, wait. I'm just keep this going the whole time.
Just the entire time that I read some comments off of. Checking in on some of the comments because you guys are sounding off a little bit on there. Ashley says, "Sup, dorks? Mm-hmm. Watching from Los Gatos." She called us dorks. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Tony Reyes over on Facebook says, "I miss baseball, but I don't want a player miserable because he can't be with his family." it's a fair point. You do have to take into account that people have families, apparently. So they say.
Yeah. Allegedly.
A couple other things on here. Gary, some people really like what you had to say today. A couple people agree that you're really on point.
I'm sure
Alfredo says that I wasn't a glint in my daddy's eye when Piazza hit that home run, which is, I mean, I was 10, so I was a little bit of a glint.
No, they're trying to say Daddy walked out.
Oh yeah,
to get some pizza.
Nailed that one.
Ryan Moore is saying there definitely should be a player and union vote on it, which of course there's so many different pieces that need to come together to make this thing work. And what Gary, like you mentioned of the players that say no, what does that mean? What does that mean for that previous agreement, the multi-million-dollar agreement that's covering players through May and the whole guaranteed service time thing that everybody's hating on Mookie about or whatever? Do those players now, if they forfeit their right to play from health concerns, is it like an injury list stint or something like that? Do you have to have insurance out on it? Whatever it may be.
The question I was going to ask you, Clint, is if you're looking at this from a financial standpoint as a player, if you're Mike Trout, like, what is he making? Like upwards of $35 million a year or something like that. If you're him, you're looking at that and you're like, either I'm going to get paid like very little, like what are they making, like $4,000 a day or something like that during during the payoff period, which is only set to last through May.
Poor bastards.
I know, yeah. I mean, if you're that guy and you're like, well, I need to make $35 million a year, so yeah, I'm going to play. That's an easy decision. But if you're Matt Beatty, it's a little different. If you're like, hey, I only make, what does he make? League minimum. He makes league minimum. He makes nothing, compared to Trout. So
and
if you're
it
saying,
also,
like, for $645,000, are you going to go away from your family for a couple months out of the year? Maybe. Well, yeah. But it's a lot harder. That would be,
considering I didn't make that much the previous year, like in Beatty's case, he only played in 99 games. He was, on the big league roster for maybe 120 days or games or whatever it may have been. So that makes a huge difference, that kind of money. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's life-changing money there if you're talking about a first-year player that wasn't, let's be real, if we're using the case of Beatty, he's not the most heralded player. He wasn't a super high-round draft pick, so he didn't come home with banks of money to go and play minor league baseball. So for the players, and definitely there's a reason. And if you're asking me, like, what would it take for me? Not very much.
Remember, there are other people here that have vested interest in the players playing. There are a lot of contracts that can be broken if there is no season. We're talking like all the sponsors, all that kind of stuff. That is real stuff. That's real money in the background that nobody's talking about. It's like all those pharmaceutical deals you hear about that's on getting played behind the back right now. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I think the players are just getting used as a pawn right now. There could be people behind the Players Association that are pushing it because they have their own agendas and stuff. It doesn't, I mean, if you really think about it, it doesn't make sense for them to play. I spoke about the morale thing for the country. Yeah, that's, cheesy stuff that can work from a newspaper standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's like, why are you risking your players' health next year? Because we've seen that this can, from reports or stuff that I've read, so I am not the news, okay? But from what I've read and from friends that I have who are doctors, there is some effect on the lungs after you've recovered from coronavirus, Yeah. So these players aren't going to be the same if they get it. So are you going to risk your assets,
Of course, tests are being refined, and I'm sure, various vaccine attempts are being fixed or fixed up and whipped up in a lab somewhere. Just depending on whether or not it's the good guys or the bad guys that are making it up is when we're going to get it and how much we're going to have to pay for it. But one of the stipulations of this thing is that these tests need, the fast tests, whatever the hell you want to call them, they need to be readily available to all. There would be, I guess, 11 ballpark MLB ready ballpark options in Arizona for the Bio-Dome League. I guess I kind of ran my train of thought on that. There are still a lot of question marks to be had with it. And Brooke, you were talking about how NBA, NHL, and all that. Those are super high contact sports. As for baseball, it's a mix because there's not much physical contact. Dudes are grabbing the balls constantly in a game.
Yeah.
Wait, I had the button.
So
go. For the people who didn't read all of what this sort of potential, perspective, not perspective, I'll go with potential. MLB in May situation would be, they would be implementing an electronic strike zone, which we already want, so the home plate umpire could actually maintain space from the catcher and not be leaning on him like a bunch of lazy asses. No mound visits from the catcher or the pitching coach. I found the 7-inning doubleheader thing really weird. So that idea there allows them to get closer to that 162 game season. I guess they're throwing in as a bonus for us more players wearing microphones, which I'm all down for, and oddly, players not in the dugout but in the stands to maintain 6 feet apart. That whole that's weird, but that's some of the.
They could be the crowd and the players. Awesome.
These are all things that have reportedly been talked about over the past couple of weeks. They're not necessarily in the deal itself yet, but they've all been options that have been discussed. So it definitely looks like they're considering. Dave Roberts a couple of weeks ago was like, you gotta consider every option that's available if you want to get baseball going again. And honestly, it looks like that's what they're doing. It looks like they're saying like, let's talk every single thing we could possibly do to get baseball going, and we got to consider it. You got, like, as weird as it might be, no mound visits. Like, that's something that's been talked about. No mound visits. Like, imagine that. Like, how does that even work? Like, you got to learn
earpieces,
like hand signals or something like that. I mean, yeah, you get earpieces though. Then you got some Astro situations going on again, and you don't want things like that happening, do you? So
you monitor, have an MLB official monitor the whole thing.
They had those with
they did with the
video. Dude didn't do shit.
They didn't do nothing, man. They still shoot. So
they got him drunk.
All of this to say is, if baseball happens in 2020, it's going to be hella weird, at least for part of it, probably all of it if it happens. And I think my biggest takeaway from this, when I was thinking about it, I was like, Astros fans, they're still going to find a way to make fun of us for winning a shortened season in Arizona somehow, despite the fact that they cheated to get a World Series. They're still going to find a way. And you guys are on Twitter, you understand what I'm talking about. There's just something weird with Astros fans that does not click in their head.
I saw that tweet, Brooke. I didn't reply to you. I think I was just like scrolling through it. I saw it. Honestly, I just think I don't care what Houston Astros fans think. Like, they're just a bunch of cheaters. It's just really I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this, but it's just like, no, I can't say it. But like, if it's just somebody that I don't respect says something, I don't give I don't care anything about that. It's about the peers.
It's not that I care. It's not that I care. It's that they're the dumbest people are always the loudest people, and that's true of anything in the world, I think. And it's just so interesting to me that things don't click in their head. Like, I had posted something about like Jose Altuve plays really bad defense, Carlos Correa plays really bad defense, Josh Reddick plays like all these things about like their fielders aren't good. That's why they had to cheat, because they wanted to hit. And some guy was like, great commentary. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, good luck without a World Series. And I was like, you don't have one either. And he's like, 2017 says differently. I'm like, you know what just happened. Like, we both know what just happened. Or are you just saying like, I don't care if we cheated? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. And I'm like, okay. Because I think logically in my head, and this is kind of transitioning into our next topic, so we might as well start talking about it anyways. But logically in my head, if I found out the Dodgers were doing something like that and we won the 2017 World Series, in my head, I'm like, there's no way I would say that's a legitimate trophy. Like, there's no way I would be like, oh, I don't care. We won. What does the record book say? I don't care if there's an asterisk. Like, I wouldn't do that. And so when I look at the Astros fan base, I'm like, there's something wrong with you guys.
Because you have at least the minimum amount of IQ level to be a normal person in this society. I mean, there are some people yeah, it's just like, dude, some people are just dumb, and that's how the world works. It's called balance. If there are really smart people like Bill Gates, there's gonna be really stupid people like Astro fans. It's just the way the world works. It's balance. It's like what Mr. Miyagi taught me back in the day. It's all about balance. All right. And that's going to get you through life. Just know that for every good person, there's a bad person, and that's just the way I think too. It's just like, it's just the way life just balances things out.
When I'm just stuck on Brooks' minimum IQ. That's it. That's all I needed.
That's all you needed from that, right?
That's it.
You
That's
have
the
compassion.
whole
You have
base.
social IQ. You have, you have the things.
It's called a soul, Gary. He
Yeah.
has a soul.
Astros fans are just.
Despite his stoic look and general lack of caring, he does have a soul.
I do care about people.
You'll never hear me
surprisingly.
say anything nicer about you again.
I mean, we're getting on the top of the Astros, so I want to transition to this next thing because
Do
there
it.
was finally. I mean, there's been one real Astro apology from the 2017 World Series team. There's been one real one, and that was Marwin Gonzalez, who's now a twin.
Yeah.
Some twins.
Mm-hmm.
So Marwin, obviously, it was more of a PR move than anything, probably.
Yeah,
but I mean,
for
his
sure.
his apology was like, okay, like you're on a new team, you admitted you did wrong.
Okay.
That was the thing for me. It wasn't just like I'm sorry. It was like you admitted you did wrong and then you apologized, and it's like cool. I like that. Altuve and Bregman read off of cards at a press conference, like literally
Read.
line,
I mean,
word for
yeah.
word, read off of a card, and I was like, screw you guys, screw you two under 5'5" men. I cannot stand you as human beings.
And
But-
the words say I should say this. And I like
this card.
I like Bregman's card blowing away from him and the guy like bringing it back. Anyways,
So that was embarrassing. So we really only had one 2017 World Series apology, and that was Marwin Gonzalez. But enter Evan Gaddis. Gaddis made like a really snarky comment on Twitter that kind of lit me on fire a little bit. He posted that the coffee cup of Mike Fears that says "snitches get stitches," and I was like,
Yeah.
"What the hell is wrong with this guy? He's not even in baseball anymore, and he's still talking crap." And I took it personally for Mike Fears, but as it turns out, Gaddis was like, "This is a joke. Like I've talked to Mike Fears several times. I think what he did was awesome," and he's like, "And I'm going to apologize for it." And it was like, okay. And then he went on the Athletics, one of their podcasts that they're doing during this thing, and it was, first of all, the funniest apology that I've ever read in my entire life or heard. And it was also, strangely enough, one of the most sincere apologies that I've ever heard in my entire life. Did you get to listen to it at all, Gary?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to hear.
dude.
I read a little bit of it, and it was just straight up.
He just cusses.
Yeah.
He just cusses the entire time. It's
something that
just
can't
like,
be played on air everywhere. That's how he said it.
no.
You know.
No.
I'm proud of him.
I mean, he did good. He basically was like, we'll take out the expletives for you guys because I know there's kids watching at home. But it was basically like, look, everybody wants to be the best, and we cheated to get there. And I think one of the things that I guess hit home with me most about his apology was like, he really felt bad that he cheated the fans out of something. Like there's always so much about like you cheated the team out of something, you cheated the players out of something, et cetera, et cetera. And there's something to that for sure. But he admitted all of that, and then he was like, I feel bad for the fans. And Gary, you've gotten a chance to interact with a lot of people on what the Astros took from Dodgers fans specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen that a lot of people were like, yeah, my dad died like right after the 2017 World Series, or right after they lost the World Series. It's like that was my last chance to have something with him like that, and they stole it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many instances of that where it's like it's so much more than just you cheated at a sport and cheated some other players out of it. There's people that take this thing very personally. There's people that this affects their moods. This affects their lives, and I'm one of them. I mean, it destroyed me when the Dodgers lost the World Series. I don't think I talked to anybody for like a week, and I'm sure you guys understand that completely. So to hear this come from Gaddis was like, for me, it was like, okay, that's a good step. There's a guy who's out of baseball.
But he needs, what he needs to do? I don't know what movie this was, but he needs to pay back this debt. He needs to go to every grave, every Dodger fan, everybody that he's hurt at that level, and say, I'm sorry. And like, that's just what they have to do if they want to get through like heaven's gates. It's just like, you cheated out of a lot of people. You corrupted a lot of kids, especially in the Houston area. You've added a layer of corruption in their hearts, that they believe that the Astros are still world champions because they still have a trophy. And those kids are the ones that are going to grow up and be the pricks that nobody likes. You know?
Well, I mean, we're talking about a bunch of the down-home Texas boys, so they was probably already heading that way.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of
Shout
good
out
Texas
to all
people,
of our
you know?
Texas fans.
Yeah, but
Cooper.
Cooper and
Just Cooper.
and the rest. You know, Katie brings up Josh Reddick showing off his stupid ring like it meant anything. And the worst part of it was, we already talked about it before, but like there was zero. It made no sense in the Twitter argument. But the thing I took away most from this Gaddis thing, it's like it's the players that are no longer on the Astros who are coming out and actually being contrite and being like, hey, this got way worse than it should have. Or, you know, people calling out Beltran or Cora and all the, you know, those type of people and whatever. So, like, that, what up with that? It just seems kind of weird. Like, you know, we read about it for so long. The players were scared of Carlos Beltran. What's going on there in Houston where these players need to get thousands of miles away to be able to say something about it? You know, is little Altuve threatening to cut their ankles or something like that? I don't really know, but it's just it's funny how this keeps happening. Or even Gaddis' case, he's pretty much out of baseball now.
Yeah, I mean Gaddis, I think he did touch. I read the article where he did touch about like everybody knew it was wrong, but nobody could do anything about it. Okay, we all know how it is, right? In a big group of guys, right? Even if it's like out partying in Vegas for a bachelor party and you don't want to do something, but everybody's like, you don't want to be the one that says, I want to go back to my room. You know, you don't want to be that guy. And it's the same thing.
Let's dig into this story. I want to know who hurt you.
It's like, it's 4 o'clock. I can't do no more. You know, it's like those kind of things, but you just got to keep on going because you don't want to ruin the flow of the success, of the fun, you know? So it's just, I think that's what he fell into. And it took a really strong person, even though he did leave the team. Fears did do something that, you know, it's still a baseball fraternity. He did do a lot of things that are quote unquote against the you know, unwritten rules, but he did something that was right, and that takes a lot of balls. And I you know, no matter what, for the rest of his life, whoever's associated with him should be proud that they're associated with him because he had the balls to stand up to what was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right.
Bregman.
Yeah,
it doesn't take very much. Let's see. Let's get a couple of. I upset Mrs. Brooke about my Texan line. Catch these hands, Mrs. Brooke. You can find me on the internet. It's like I'm just watching this. I think I don't know who Greg is. I'm pretty sure they meant Gary. Jerry Riggs says, "Just burn in hell, cheaters." That's one way. I mean, we could make that bumper sticker. Put that little ass. Yeah, put the ask. What's his name? Rob Lowe, who his T-shirt maker is, and see about making some of those. Clinton, by the way, he likes your stash. So we got to get in our weekly stash love for you.
That's what's up.
Like of it all, it was kind of cool to see the arc for him because he rebounded. Like he's now a sort of semi-beloved character in Dodger lore, going from this hated villain that he became. Yeah. So I mean that's one of like the cool side stories of it. But either way,
I mean, if I'm in my DeLorean,
trying to find anything that's not DeLorean.
If I'm in my DeLorean, I can go back and tell people, you know what happened? We lost Yu Darvish. We lost like top 20 pitcher, top 15 pitcher in the league, you know, who could have been with us for the next couple years. And it's like, we lost that because we were cheated out of it. He could have been a Dodger. He said he would have stayed. It was just that he was afraid for his kids. That was the main reason he signed somewhere else. So
yeah, you know, he got a lot of threats. People were really crappy towards him, and I think a lot of people really forget that the Dodgers don't get to the World Series in 2017 without Yu Darvish, and that's like a really even with him being cheated by the Astros, the Dodgers probably don't get to the World Series without him. Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, it's like, yeah, he sucked in the 2017 World Series. Even if you look past the cheating, you're like, but we still needed him. And he still did the job he was supposed to do. Like, regardless of if we knew it or not that they were cheating. He's like, it didn't make sense at the time to me to see him treated like that. I still don't quite get it. Even if I didn't know the Astros were cheating, I still wouldn't understand it. But you add in that and you're like, okay, I really feel bad for that guy. Like, he took a lot of crap for a long time. Like, he's been taking crap for almost 3 years now because of it. Yeah. And when you look at that, you're like, yeah, no wonder why he's, and I'm sure it's played into how he's pitched from here on out, because let's be honest, he hasn't pitched particularly well in Chicago with the Cubs. No. He's not been very good. He's definitely not been as good as he has been in the past, and you got to wonder how much has that been affected by 2017.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of it, especially in his first year there in Chicago, coming off signing that big deal off of a terrible World Series numbers. But you look at the LCS, you look at even his time after, coming to LA, postseason, excluding World Series, he was an exceptional pitcher. Before, when he was an all-star pitcher, he was great. Even before coming to LA with the Rangers, he was really, really good, except for his last start where he gave up 9 runs in one inning that inflated his ERA to just over 4. It took that much, but he was still solid there. And Gabriel talks about here on YouTube, says Darvish didn't get as much hate as Kershaw did and does still. I guess
that's how strong Kershaw is. That's how mentally strong he is.
Yeah.
That's tough. But
bless up Darvish, bless up Kershaw. Hope you guys are safe. Wash your hands. That's how we're gonna just wrap up every segment that way.
Wash your hands.
Speaking of washing your hands, we do have our final segment of the show here. We got to talk about this is our rally safety tip with Mr. Gary Lee.
Oh, here it is.
Rally safety.
Well, there's no real sound here, so this
okay.
is just me explaining how to make a mask for you guys.
So reenact it. You should do one of those things where you're lookbooking over it or whatever. You're talking.
I'm just explaining right here. I'm fitting into the screen right now so people can see it. Basically, it's just 3 parts. Yeah, it's just taking the rubber bands. The good thing about this setup is the towels on the side part where you roll it right here. It offers really good side protection, because regular masks, those dentists whatever masks that everyone's wearing, there's a lot of holes on the side, so air can come through from the side. But this setup, it's all nice and secure. Look at that. Beautiful. It hurts the ears a little, but it's okay. It's ginormous. And then I think you put on the hat. You're pretty good. I think it works out pretty well. Going into the supermarket.
And then you say, "Get over here."
Yeah. It is a fat mask.
So Ninja Gary, I do have to ask you, what's the breathability like in that thing?
It's actually pretty good, because those 2 cushions right here push out the space, and it's only 1 layer here. So then there's actually about an inch of space where it's breathable. And the thing is, you guys know about the mask. The rules about the mask is
great movie. Jim Carrey.
If you can put a candle in front of you and you can't blow it out wearing a mask, that's a good mask. So those are the things that you just gotta look into.
And we're learning. These are money tips with MGL.
Oh, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah. You got some prepper stuff here if you want.
Yeah, what is the rule now in Cali? It's basically it's just shy of being strictly enforced, but everybody is semi-required to wear a mask now, some form of garb in their face.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, Garcetti just said that you're required to wear it when you're going out to essential businesses, and they can turn down services to you if you're not wearing a mask.
Oh man!
So they might not let you into a store if you're not wearing a mask.
How am I supposed to pick up my heroin now?
That's your essential dealer.
My essential. Katie gives you another tip here. Katie says use hair bands instead of rubber bands for better comfort around the ears.
Yeah,
so
that's what I did with mine, Gary. I should have told you.
Katie, there's another tip. I found a kid online. He did 3D printers, but he basically took something like this size. It's about 4 inches. Put it on the back of their head, so it's like a light plastic piece, and then they hook the rubber band to that, so it doesn't go over the ears. And this kid is like a Cub Scout or whatever, and he did it somewhere for the hospital in the Midwest. And he's made hundreds of them for the nurses, and then the nurses, therefore, their ears aren't like getting cut because of all that pressure on their ears. So, Katie, little plastic piece, hook the rubber bands there, and then you got a really good, comfortable piece.
There you go, Gary. Saving the world one mask at a time.
Just duct tape.
Roach says it's mandatory in San Bernardino now. And Roach, I gotta tell you, it should be mandatory in San Bernardino regardless of whether or not there's a virus out there. Just so you know, it should be classic San Bernardino.
He also had a cool Marvel. He has Hulk right on his schnoz there, thanks to a buddy who made him one.
I've been looking for Spider-Man masks, like full on, like the whole thing. You know, coming home or homecoming. Those masks are looking pretty good.
Alfredo says, "Don't go into a bank, Gary." I don't know if it's a threat.
They don't got money to steal these days. Don't worry about it.
It's all what's it called right now? Isn't it all Bitcoin?
Pretty much.
Ricky Bobby Trujillo loved my mask reference. Jim Carrey, great movie. So I'm gonna give me some points right there because I was proud of that. And we got Clinton again on YouTube saying, "Thanks for the tip, Gary. You the man. You are the man.
No problem.
You the man.
Just want everybody to be safe."
All right, boys. I think it's about getting close to wrap up time. I don't have anything necessarily scheduled in my head for a final thought. Which one of you guys wants to come up with the final thought off the top of your head? What's on your mind, Brooke?
Well, I'm sad.
So it's a regular day.
Are you guys getting like real stir crazy at home? Yeah. I mean, Gary, you have kids, so I gotta imagine you're going a little nuts.
But you get in the routine of the nuts, you know, and like now, you know when they're gonna get crazy. You can prepare for it. You know, you can literally record something, say "shut up," and then like play it at about 2:30 every freaking day.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, the thing is, the secret is giving yourself something to look forward to on a Friday or Saturday. That's what I found very helpful. I think that's something that, you know, gets the day going, and then just getting a routine, learning something new. You know, I've been watching YouTube like crazy, and you guys know I've been going with all the camera equipment. I'm just trying to learn new things about this craft, this beautiful craft, you know, and so I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm stir crazy, you know, and it's raining too. It fucking sucks. You know?
Yeah, the rain is rain has been rough.
That's been one crappy part of it.
It's been rough and annoying. And Brooke, it looks like your Wi-Fi is going to crap. But you know, we're gonna get you hardlined for before the next episode.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
But
probably a good plan. It's rough out here.
I've been making sure to find and you know, generate new and exciting projects at the house. Over the weekend, I you know, dusted off my old mechanic's hat and worked on the car, that kind of stuff. But you know, cleaned up the backyard, doing whatever. But still, if you're cracking open a beer out there by yourself, then you're just an alcoholic. So that's where it becomes a little bit where you get more of the stir crazy out of it.
Yeah. But hopefully everybody's getting by, and like we're all still breathing well, and everybody's still healthy. So it's working. This is what flattening the curve is supposed to look like. So we should be pretty good.
Yeah. What didn't they say? Like California's already doing better than expected, than projected. Mm-hmm. So good job, California. Woo, go us, U.S.
Yeah.
U.S. Just us. Anyways, guys, that's about all the time we've allotted ourselves today because, you know, Brooke is a potato, according to some folks.
Witness protection program.
Until then, do find us on the internet. We are DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven. We are on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, so many more. And while you're at it, while you're on the internet already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are on youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit that notification bell so we pop right up the second we do a live stream, the second we get a virtual Dodger game going, all that kind of stuff.
Well said. You did a good job there.
Thank you.
That's right, guys. I'm at BrookMe3. This guy over there on the other side of the screen, wherever he might be, is at RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. I am not a potato, and we are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at Officials Dodgers Nation on Instagram. Thank you to Mr. Gary Lee over there on the buttons. Insert applause here, kindly. And thank you guys for being with us. That was a weird sounding applause. It sounded like water. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for your questions, your comments, your concerns, your crying with us, your anger at the Astros. And we'll see y'all sometime next week or this week. TBT.
TBT. Bye.
Okay. No, not yet.